Good evening and welcome to the NBA Association podcast presented by Nuts and Bolts Sports. It is your boy Randall Gim here as your host, and I am joined by the fantastic basketball minds in Jalen Willingham and Kazi Cam TV. What's going on, fellas? How we doing?
Doing good.
So good to be back, man. So good to be back. I appreciate y'all joining me today, and just let me know what's on your mind right now. Let's get something off the bat. Hit me with something that I'm not expecting.
The Cavs might be a top 3 team in the league this year.
See, that's what I want to hear. Now, Jalen, I need your initial reaction to that take.
Cavs might be top 3. I can buy it. I can definitely see it. The Donovan Mitchell trade completely threw me off. Did not see it at all. If anyone, as long as no one gets hurt, I can definitely see that.
Now, when I first saw the trade, I didn't really get that excited. Like, it didn't put fear in my heart for the Eastern Conference because we got the Bucks, we got the Heat, we got the Nets, and the Celtics, of course, the reigning Eastern Conference champions. And I'm just not sure if they are ready to be that high level of a team. What do you guys think? Do you guys think they're ready for that? Or, prove me wrong.
Well, first, I'm going to say that when you brought up the Nets, honestly, I don't really believe in the Nets right now. They're going to prove me wrong because, Ben Simmons is coming back. And then, Kyrie, is Kyrie going to continue to treat basketball like a part-time job? Or like, is he going to actually take it serious this time? KD is coming back as well. So I don't really believe them too much yet. But, the Cavaliers, they showed signs of potential last year and, it didn't really go their way. So, and I think Donovan Mitchell he has the star power to put him over the edge.
Back up your own take, Cam. What do you think?
I just think now you're moving Donovan Mitchell to a better franchise, a more franchise that fits, that builds around its better players. And you finally give him a center like Jared Allen that he can depend on at the rim, that he can depend on the pick and rolls or pick and pops. And you're also going to have one of the best backcourts in the league with Darius Garland, who's averaging think about 26 points per game last year at shooting the 3-ball at a high clip from his rookie year when everyone said like he was one of the worst 3-point shooting guards in the league, and they didn't know if Garland and Saxon was going to work. But now we know, like, if Mitchell and Garland can work together, that'd be good, especially with Jared Allen. They have depth. I think this team could move a little more pieces around or try to get, like, that one more guy. Like, I know kind of Cavs fans are hoping Karis LeVert can be that guy, but he's been kind of loading since that season with the Nets when him and D'Angelo Russell took that team to the playoffs and shocked everyone. So I think that's where the struggle with the Cavs is. They have a good team. They're going to be a top 5 team. Now it's just, can they be the big dogs? Can they compete with the Sixers? And can they compete with the Nets? That's going to be the question.
And I think Donovan Mitchell playing alongside a dynamic big and Evan Mobley might even, open his game up a little bit more than just having to throw a lob to Rudy. But Rudy being on the Timberwolves is exactly what D'Angelo Russell needs, because D'Angelo Russell kind of forces that shot sometimes. He just really wants to be a tough shot maker. But Darius Garland, on the other hand, he's able to score when you need to score, and he's also very good at setting the table, I think almost better than D'Angelo Russell at this point. Yeah. But we got Monty tapping into the show, and he says that the problem with the Nets is Kyrie and KD are great players, but not great leaders. I almost agree with that statement, but I feel like they didn't have much to lead. Go ahead, Jalen.
I completely agree with that because let's just be real. Both of them, they're not Batman, they're Robin. Kyrie has tried his entire career to get out of the shadows and be his own man. He didn't want to go behind LeBron. He wanted to be his own man in Boston. We see how that went. Then he tried to go to Brooklyn to form something with KD, and it's been nothing but a disaster. And then with KD, yeah, okay, he was a champion in Golden State, but I mean that team was already formed before he got there, so you can't really say he was the real leader. And ever since he's left, it's just been disappointing. I mean, you got swept in the first round. No, no, I just can't go for that, man.
I can't go for that either. And ever since they formed that team and hired Steve Nash as the coach, and the way that Kyrie responded by saying that I could be the coach, KD could be the coach, Steve Nash is the coach. That's not how leadership works. Leadership is traditionally one person with, somebody advising that person, or, a team behind that person that can help enforce what that person is doing and keep everybody on the same page. But you got too many cooks in the kitchen at that point, with Kyrie being as opinionated as he is, and then KD being as sensitive as he is, always reacting to each and every tweet that he sees that goes against something that he believes in, which is, all good and dandy. But I feel like someone of that caliber should not be reaching down to these Twitter bots to just argue and to just fuel negativity. And I feel like that's something a good leader would not do. And but we all know that they do lead by example. But with a young team that they have and a question mark in Ben Simmons, who knows what we're going to see going into next season. But last thing I will say before passing it back over to one of you guys is that Kyrie thinks that it was a really good thing that they got woken up by the Celtics and got swept. And now they might have a chip on their shoulder. But man, they had so big of a chip on their shoulder, they were ready to leave it in Brooklyn and go somewhere else. So to reinstore that faith into that team is just so far away from me. And I'm going to have to see it to believe it. As Nuts and Bolts Sports says, as they're tapping in with us, please keep associating, hit that like button for us, subscribe to Nuts and Bolts Sports. Jalen, Kaz, you guys have anything else to add before we move on the Nets?
I would just like to say I don't believe in them either. Like Jalen said, they're both Robins. It's not one person on that team I can be like, okay, he's going to dominate and take them to the finals. Like, we have yet to see Kevin Durant do that in his career by himself, not with the help around him. So,
right,
I don't take.
And my man Cameron saying that Steve Nash is not a good coach at all. Monty saying that they thought he was going to be the second coming of Steve Kerr. But we all know what happened when the Nets were playing the Bucks.
But just not enough against Kevin Durant and these Nets.
Shabbat, a good foul shooter, 86% during the regular season.
And I'm stunned right now, Marv. I mean, Milwaukee was in control, and then Kevin Durant took over with a legendary playoff performance. Just incredible.
So the Nets bounce back from the Sunday afternoon loss in Milwaukee. And the Nets now lead this best of 7, 3 games to 2. Game 6 back in Milwaukee Thursday night. Brooklyn trailed by as many as 17 points with just under 7 minutes remaining in the third quarter, and they
all that time just to get to that clip. Sorry about that, guys, but that's what I wanted to show. Steve Nash clinging on for dear life to Kevin Durant. And last thing I'll mention before we move on is if you're Joe Tsai and Sean Marks, you don't say that you're willing to trade Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is one of the best scorers of all time, not just today, but of all time. And to say that you're willing to move on from him is just blasphemous to me. You should never say that. That just creates fractures within the franchise. And there's just no way you can build a good foundation with that type of distrust in a front office to their star player, superstar player. But we move on. Now we talk about looking forward to next season. The new CBA agreed on by the NBA and the NBA Players Association will include a list of, will excuse mental health issues to miss basketball games. Now, gentlemen, we all saw what happened with Ben Simmons last year, claiming that his mental health was preventing him from being able to play. And he took that extended absence and then started blaming on the back, got a cortisone shot in his back, and still this problem and that problem. And Rich Paul was always echoing that his mental health was preventing him from playing. Do we think that other players are going to take advantage of this, or do we think that this is going to be something that's good for the league? Go ahead, take it away, Cam.
I think it's going to be something that's good for the league in the aspect of mental health, because it's a big thing in today's society. And I can see like the NFL and all the different types of sports and programs like the WNBA, they're starting to do that too. So the NBA wants to be like on top of this and doesn't want to have like mental health and certain social issues that's occurring in the world affecting their game. So it's good. It'll be a good thing. But reverting back to the Ben Simmons situation, I don't think that those two would align here. I just think he didn't want to play in that spotlight or in that city. So, and that could also hurt his mental health and then conclude to back problems. So that's my take on it.
I agree. Jalen, how do you feel?
Yeah, I like that they're finally, prioritizing mental health, but to kind of piggyback on what Kaz was saying, I can definitely see that some people will try to exploit it, kind of like, how the Spurs used to do rest days. So, yeah, I mean, well, it's both a good thing and, maybe a little bit of a bad thing, but I think it should be here to stay.
And I agree. It definitely should be available to these players, especially in this life of social media where NBA players are the most accessible athletes in professional sports. You get to see their face while they're playing. You get to see their reactions while they're playing. They do some of the most high profile interviews, and it's one of the most popular sports in America today. And having to deal with all that discourse of negative comments, good or bad, like people hyping you up. We always talk about the negative side of mental health, but mental health also could be a part of getting your ego boosted too much. And some people can't handle that. Some people think, like, oh, I'm the man. Like other people are telling me that I'm the man and I'm going to be the man. No, you got to be able to be humble as well. And when you look at stuff like that, just, an average person just like you and me, they might be a little bit better at basketball than us, but it's hard to deal with that type of stress, and it's hard to do that over the course of an 82 game season. Now, I think it should be allowed, but there should be some restraints, and also there needs to be practically a doctor's note that you are working on this and that you are trying to achieve positive mental health. Do you guys have anything else to add before we move on?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I definitely agree with it. Yeah, that's all I got though.
Right. Another aspect of the CBA that they will be adding in potentially, they're going to change the NBA age of eligibility from 19 years old to 18 years old, making it available for kids to come into the NBA straight out of high school, like Kevin Garnett, Kobe Bryant, and many others. So how do we feel about this? And Jalen, I'm going to let you go first on this.
I definitely I like that they're finally going back to this. But the way I see it, let's just be real. They're doing this for one man, and his name is Bronny James. Yeah, Bronny James is definitely the a big reason why this is happening in my eyes. But as far as just being 18 years old, most 18-year-olds aren't ready to play NBA level basketball. There's still the G League is still gonna be a viable option. Going overseas is still gonna be a viable option, and then you also have college. So I wouldn't overlook those options as well. So hey, I mean, I think it's great. It's great that they're finally letting this happen again, but it could hurt the player if it's not done in the right way.
Cam, how you feeling about it, man?
I would just say I think this also could be like for the Bronny James situation in their class because they got a lot of good players that could go straight into the league. But then this is more for like overseas players because we're starting to see a rise of overseas players that's like 16, 17 years old. Like the one guy, I can't remember the tip of my head right now, but I think he's like 7 foot, like a 7'7" wingspan.
Victor Wembanyama.
Projected to be the number 1 draft pick already, and he just has all the talent and the skill, and you can just tell how he's just dominating grown men. Like he's not playing kids. The thing about them is they're not playing like college kids or high school kids. They're playing guys that have been in the NBA. That's guy that's played March Madness, played the highest college, and they're just overseas. So I think that's a good way for us to get more international people. Like we've seen, like in the top 5 players, Luka, Giannis, and Jokic, they're all international. So it's like, I think that's the way that the NBA is trying to move now.
I agree. And with the Victor Wembanyama, you see the Spurs looking to shop Jakob Poeltl for a couple first rounders. And we know, man, they already traded Dejounte Murray. And they don't really have much of a core anymore. What do they have? Keldon Johnson? And they're going to be tanking. They're in the Wembanyama race. And I think they're going to be able to win it too. So I wanted to shift this conversation really quick to a couple of individuals who I thought might have been able to go to the league straight out of high school, or at least develop in the league straight out of high school. 2 guys that went up against each other in high school were Chet Holmgren and Imani Bates. Now, Imani Bates was unfortunately charged with the felony possession of a firearm and altering the ID number on it. Do you believe he could have made it to the NBA? Straight out of high school? Dad?
Yeah, for me, I don't. I think he could have tried to attempt to make it, but I don't think he would have been developed right the same way he struggled in college because everyone thought, oh, he's the next Kevin Durant. Oh, he has the potential to be one of the greats. But as soon as he got to college and he realized, oh, he was the youngest player in college. He was a 17-year-old player going to college to play for Memphis and a Penny Hardaway team, which is difficult when you have draft prospects stocked all around that team. So he couldn't compete with those guys in practice. And then when it translated to the floor, he just didn't have the same hype around him, and it was just kind of a bad spot. I think the G League route, like how they're doing now, would have worked out with him perfectly. But I think he just took a chance too young of an age.
Right. And, with players like Mikey Williams and Bronny James and all of these individuals that are getting hyped up by social media, LaMelo Ball is also an aspect of that. Like I said earlier, talking about the mental health, like you can get your ego boosted with everybody telling you that you're the man. And that is something that you have to be wary of, getting to this high level, because obviously, there's 450, 475 players in the NBA. And even then, what fraction of that is the world's population compared to the players in the NBA? Like, it is a very slim chance, slim to none, to make it to the NBA. And we all know that all 475 players will be able to bust some ass in any other league. Now, it shows that there's levels to this, and you can't just assume, like Chet Holmgren says, he's going to be MVP. He's going to be the best player in 2 to 3 years. Like it's not that easy, and you're going to get humbled really quick, especially if you're going to continue to talk like that and kind of give the answers that the media wants to hear. That's why some of the most successful players don't play around with the media like that. I like what Joe's saying here. Let the kids get a bag and play, but the league and the teams need to set up a strong support system. And that's exactly what I wanted to talk about as well. You have to have a fail-safe for some of these kids. Like with the one and done rule, they used to not be able to have their eligibility to play another year in college open. But then if they wanted to pursue the draft and see if they can get some nibbles here or there from the rumor mill for general managers draft boards, they have that option to go back and play, even though they're trying to pursue the draft. And so those provisions need to be placed in there to protect these kids. And like we said, college is a great option. Get some of that NIL money. That's not a problem either. And there's always great programs that are they're really trying to produce NBA players like a Kentucky or a Duke. And there's nothing wrong with going to any of those places. Now, great combo on that, guys. Let's move on to the off season. So, what do you guys think was the most impactful move of the summer? Give it to me, Jalen.
Man, I think, honestly, the most impactful move might have been the Rudy Gobert trade, just because of how many first round picks it took just to move him. And the reason why I say that is because, exactly. And then another reason as to why I say that is because when the trade rumors for Kevin Durant were coming out, and everyone was debating just what exactly it would take to trade Kevin Durant, which is, let's be honest, that's not someone who you just get up and just trade. But just hypothetically, if Rudy Gobert is getting 5 picks, you got to at least double that for Kevin Durant. So so that just Rudy Gobert, that trade on its own just raised the bar for just a lot of stars moving forward, to be honest.
Right. And shout out to the GM, Tim Connolly, for the Timberwolves, because he might have prevented Kevin Durant from coming over to the West to join the Phoenix Suns. I think he listed another Western Conference team too, but I can't remember. But that would have been havoc in the Western Conference. Cam, how do you feel about that, brother?
I feel like the Rudy Gobert trade is really good for Minnesota and what they're trying to build. And hopefully Anthony Edwards takes that bigger step that they're hoping for, that all-star league, just like how Morant took that for Memphis. They're hoping Anthony just takes that and here, this is my team. Cat, I'm sorry, but this is my team now. Like, you could be my Robin, or we can do this a partnership, but he needs to take that big step. But I think another move that's going under the radar is John Wall to the Clippers. I think that's going to be I think the Clippers the Clippers are going to, I think this is the year that we might see. I would want my Lakers to be in there, but the roster construction is too bad right now to even think any far past a first round exit. But the Clippers, I think you get John Wall, you get a healthy John Wall. Don't forget you have Reggie Jackson coming off the bench, who can be a starter for a couple games if you need him to, or for a majority of the season. You have PG. I think this will be a revenge year for him, trying to let people know. Kawhi is coming back, another revenge year. Like, the Clippers are going to be really good. If they all can stay healthy, that's the only problem that's always been with the Clippers is health. But if they all can stay healthy, then I have them making it out the Western Conference easily.
Yeah, John Wall's returning.
The Clippers have
go for it, Jalen.
No, sorry. But speaking of the Clippers, has anyone seen what Kawhi looks like? That man looks like he just put on a ton of muscle too. So yeah, the PG and Kawhi coming back, that should be dangerous for the Western Conference. But yeah, take it away. That's all I wanted to say.
Bro, not KD. Kawhi Leonard's legs look like Saquon's Barkley's legs, bro. They are,
Yeah.
they are wide and in charge, and you're not going to be able to stop him when he's going on the fast break. You're going to get ran over, and I feel like, going into a little sports science, developing those muscles around the knee is exactly what Kawhi needs. And then we talk about the kinetic chain. Everything is connected from the top to bottom and bottom to top. And being able to have healthy calves, healthy feet, healthy knees is all with the supporting muscles around it. And so that shows that he's putting in the necessary work to have stability in all of those areas. So I'm really excited to see what sorry, Thick Wildland. I don't know if y'all caught it, but I understand that his legs are thick. But Caleb said it for me.
Oh God.
But we definitely saw John Wall in his Rico Hines runs. Is that what it was? And man, he is saying, I'm fucking back. Like, ain't nobody can hold me, not this, not that. And personally, I feel like he should save the trash talk because, bro, you're in a Rico Hines run. You're there to get better. Everybody's there to get better. It's not like anybody's really trying to lock you down, or you're not seeing those best defenders. And we heard him in interviews say that the third best defender is going to have to guard him because you got the first and the second guarding Kawhi and PG. Now, do we think he's going to be that effective of a scorer again, or are they just going to rely on him to set the table for those guys? Either one of you can take that. I think you're muted, Kaz.
Honestly,
Go for it, Jalen.
Okay, so honestly, with John Wall at this point in his career, he doesn't really need to do as much, to be honest. But he could set the pace, he could set the tone. He doesn't need to go out and score 20 plus. I mean, he's not going to do that anyway. But he doesn't really need to do that. All he really needs to do at this point is to show up on a consistent night to night basis, and just pretty much just be a floor general. Let Kawhi, let PG lead as far as like scoring, defense, and just show up and just be a true point guard.
Yeah, like he said, he's got to be John Wall, half of the version that we saw when Washington. Like, if he can be a 15, 8 and 4 guy, like shooting 34% from the 3-point line, like that's what the Clippers need. Like, his defense is going to be there. That's going to be the one focus that he's going to be. He likes to be an aggressive defender, so that's not going to be a thing because the Clippers run a good system that's going to be easy for you to become a better defender. So he just has to be a stable point guard, and then Kawhi and PG are healthy. When they have off nights, John Wall take over. When he have off nights, you always know you can depend on Kawhi or PG. So that's all that matters.
Right, and we know that when PG is healthy, he's nearly a top 10 player in the league. Same with Kawhi, and now John Wall thrown into that equation. I really hope that they're able to, gel together well, and I'm interested to see how long that takes, because if they come out of the gates firing, it's going to be scary for the entire league. But let's talk about the team across the hallway in formerly the Staples Center, but now the Crypto.com Arena. We got Cameron Murray saying that the Lakers are going to win it all. And then Derek saying, yeah, if the whole league got injured. So, Cam, you got to tell me about your Lakers, man. What's going on?
I mean, we going to sign another guard? Like, it's going to keep pouring? Like, okay. I honestly don't know how they're constructing this team because it's not yet over. I wouldn't say off season's not yet over, but we're starting to get into like closer to training camp and then preseason basketball. So I wonder how their team is going to be constructed. From the guards are perfect. You added Pat Beverly. I think that was a good thing. You bring some kind of toughness to this team that's going to instill something in Anthony Davis' head, hopefully to stay healthy or just do the good things in the offseason to stay healthy. And then take some low pressure off of LeBron, still some confidence in Westbrook. I think that's what they really mostly got Patrick Beverly was for. Okay, like we see like Westbrook is down, like he needs confidence. He needs somebody like to boost his ego up and get him out of the shell that he's been in since he came to LA. So the Lakers will go as far as Anthony Davis takes them, literally. If Anthony Davis can play the half of how he played the year they won in a bubble, LeBron James averaged 30 points last year. I'll expect him to be at 28, 29 points per game, same. I expect a bounce back year from Russell Westbrook. I've seen videos of him, like, I don't know if it's true or not. His form looks completely different. Looks like he's through. I don't know, like, if that's just publicity stunt or something, but hopefully it's true. Like,
man, I've been a fan of Russell Westbrook and his game for a long time, and even to the point where I was working on transition mid-range pull-ups because I thought that was something that he used to do very well when he was with the Thunder. He'd be coming in full speed, make somebody back up all the way to the rim, and then just stop and pop. And he does that with a lot of lift because we know that he's still explosive, but he used to be extremely explosive.
Yeah.
One of the most explosive guards of all time. And I feel like that lift, it gets almost a foot off the ground every time he shoots the ball. And that can throw off your shot form and have it be not consistent, especially when he's not jumping as high as he used to. Now, to your point, Cam, he is changing that form and he isn't jumping as high, but he still has a very high release point, which is good. That's what he needs to get it over those taller defenders. But I feel like, that's actually, let me write this down because I'm going to count how many times I see Russell Westbrook shoot the ball at the side of the backboard. And that's what I'm going to keep track of because, man, there's a literal compilation of him hitting the side of the backboard and, hitting the top of the backboard, trying to get those Timmy D bank shots in. And it just skips off the glass and somebody gets an easy defensive rebound. Like he's just passing the ball to the other team. You should probably count that as a turnover too.
Yeah.
I might keep track of that as well. But adding Patrick Beverly, leaving my Timberwolves is a little bittersweet because he was the guy that instilled some energy, instilled some faith, and some constructive criticism to the team. And I feel like that's something that LeBron has never been very good at. LeBron says, he wouldn't be a coach similar to Michael Jordan. They don't have the patience because they just expect this greatness out of people. But one thing that Michael did as a player that we saw in The Last Dance was that, he just challenged these guys all the time in practice and wouldn't let them go through practice without challenging them. And I feel like that's something that LeBron has not done, but we'll have to see once LeBron's documentary comes out in, another 10, 15 years or something like that. But, this is one good question that we could talk about before we go into a break. Go ahead, Jalen.
First of all, okay, so I'll just chime in about the Lakers. I mean, just, Kaz, I know this is your team, but, just, be honest, they suck. But it's I get my hopes up. I get my hopes up with LeBron. Every night I'm like, man, I can't wait to watch LeBron. And for the entire season, it was just disappointing. And it's honestly, as long as Russell Westbrook is on his team, I just don't think it's not going to work. I saw the videos of his jump shot, and I'm just not buying it. He this is career barely 30% from three shooter.
Yep.
I'm just not buying it. And LeBron's 38. He's gonna be the all-time leading scorer. And that's cool and all, but you can only really ask so much out of 38-year-old Anthony Davis. Apparently, he's been training, but he's almost 30, and his injury history is just not good. The Lakers, they have to prove themselves to me. They're like the Dallas Cowboys, everyone hype up year after year, and then they just disappoint. Well, except out of the year that they won the finals, of course. But I do like the Pat Bev signing. I think he'll bring that nice energy. I do also like they added Dennis Schroeder, but
Again,
I just don't think the team. Yeah, yeah, it definitely got to add again. But I honestly don't think this team could reach its full potential until if Russell Westbrook or their picks that they're just holding on to so desperately. I just don't think they'll be able to be as good as they can be until either of those picks are moved.
Man, I will add that Dennis Schroeder was looking nice in FIBA World Cup play. He was looking good. Yeah. And I'm not going to deny that he fumbled that bag. We all know that, and lost out on about 90 million. He wanted 140, claimed that he knew his worth, but you don't determine your worth in the NBA. The NBA determines your worth for you.
0 points in playoffs.
Yes, dude, big donuts. And man, I have to see it to believe it again. But obviously, it's going to be some must-see TV, whether they're good or bad in LA. But I'm just happy that the Lakers don't have as many national TV games as they did last season because, man.
Oh, thank God.
It's well, hey, I want to watch some basketball. And it's like,
no, I think we have 14 nationally televised games.
Yeah, and guess how many the Wolves have?
1, right?
I think it's like stop playing. No, this year.
1.
This year, I don't know. This year we got a bunch. We got 20 plus.
Oh yeah,
20 plus. Yeah, we're ready to go, man. It's gonna be amazing. I'm really excited. Let's talk about the Hawks real quick, though. We got Monty commenting earlier that the Hawks are going to be. Let me pull this up. DeJounte Murray and Trae Young will be amazing. The Hawks will start using Trae off the ball like the Warriors use Steph Curry, and they haven't done that in 3 years. Gentlemen, how do we feel about the Hawks? Monty. Go ahead, James.
Yes, Monty. They need to use Trae Young just like that. I am tired of seeing Trae Young chuck up 3 after 3 or going in for layups. The Miami Heat series, they completely figured him out, and it was extremely frustrating to watch. So, adding in DeJounte Murray to help him defensively and also help him offensively is taking the pressure off of him. Trae Young also, I really want Trae Young to be used just like Steph Curry, running around screens, running around off ball to get open. That can help a lot, and that can really do a lot for the Hawks offense in the entire season going forward.
Kaz, how are you feeling about the Hawks?
I'm feeling good. It gives DeJounte Murray the spotlight to showcase his true talent, because I know nobody was watching San Antonio games. Like, throughout my whole life, nobody is sitting here watching those San Antonio games unless it's in the playoffs. That's just the type of atmosphere they have. But I think it's going to be exciting. You're in ATL. You're Trae Young. You got John Collins now. I'm sure they got some young guys who are going to step up. I hope DeAndre Hunter can be healthy enough this year to get them throughout a full season, because they will need him when he's on the court. He's a dominant defensive presence for them. And even in the corner or even the spot up shooter or something, he takes the pressure off of Trae Young, because you can constantly kick the ball out to him and depend on his shot. So I just think Murray's going to bring that playmaking that they need. He's going to take the ball out of Trae Young's hands a lot of times. He's going to be able to defend. He's going to be able to push the pace. He's going to be able to get the rebound and go straight out. And Trae Young doesn't have to worry about another waiting his whole offense behind him trailing. He goes spot up in the corner, and DeJounte dishes out like that. Trae Young's never had that. He's had Kevin Huerter, but Kevin Huerter is a spot up shooter off the dribble, off the screen. He's a type of guy like how Klay Thompson was. how Klay Thompson used to be, but just not that effective of a shooter.
And that's probably why the Miami Heat was able to figure them out, because they practiced with Duncan Robinson every day. And, just knowing what kind of motions that they use to get open and having them being, very similar players. I think Kevin Huerter is better at finishing at the rim than Duncan Robinson, but
I don't think Duncan Robinson can even dribble.
So I don't know if you guys see on Twitter, there's like NBA Hoop Central or something like that, and they do guess that shot chart. Oh my gosh, dude. Duncan Robinson is just all red all around the perimeter with nothing in the center. It was incredible to see, honestly. Any other notable off-season things that you guys want to bring up? Talked Cavs, we talked T-Wolves, we talked Hawks.
The Grizzlies.
Celtics, Malcolm Brogdon.
Malcolm Brogdon to the Celtics.
Malcolm Brogdon to the Celtics.
I forgot about that move. I forgot about this.
That's why we're here.
Oh, Celtics, Malcolm Brogdon.
It's great. It's really great. And given the fact that they lost Gallinari for the entire season,
thank you for mentioning.
Having Malcolm Brogdon is going to help them. Like they just got better. Like it wouldn't. They're contenders once again. Well, we can't really tell who's going to come out of the East yet, but the Celtics definitely got better with that.
Yeah, and I knew. I love, I love Gallinari as a player, but he doesn't play more than 60 games. So you're missing that high-level scorer for, a fourth of the season is just not very valuable in today's league. And, you got to be consistent and you got to be available to be effective. And starting off with the torn ACL is a huge bummer. Prayers up. Hope he gets healthy soon. But man, that's a huge hit. And I really think the Celtics will be able to improve with a high-level defender like Malcolm Brogdon. And now they already have Derek White. Or they kept Derek White, didn't they? Yeah, Derek White is a beast.
They kept Derek White. He's going to be able to play his actual role and not have to be dependent to take 20 shots in a playoff game.
Exactly.
That's when you knew the Celtics were going to be in trouble in the finals, when they had to depend on Derek White taking 20 shots. That's how you knew it. You knew that.
Jason Tatum's shoulder was bothering him that much to where he was just chucking really bad shots and had the most turnovers in playoff history. Bro, that is tough. I think it was 57 turnovers, or maybe it was 75. I think 57 sounds like a more realistic number. But the Celtics, they're not guaranteed to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. And when you shop players, I think they were shopping Jaylen Brown over the summer. He showed up in trade talks a few times, and he even responded to it on Twitter a little bit, a little emoji, nothing big. But that has to create, a little doubt in your mind, or maybe that will be able to fuel a very intelligent individual like Jaylen Brown. But, keeping that core together I think keeps the team stronger. But I guess that didn't happen for a team like the Lob City Clippers back in the day.
No.
But
I think
go for it. You there, Jalen?
Yeah, I couldn't hear for a second, but I think with Jaylen Brown, Jaylen Brown is without a doubt one of the most intelligent people in the NBA. So being involved in the trade talks, I think that lights more of a fire under him. I don't think he's the type to just like Ben Simmons, just go out and just quit or cry like a baby. So I'm interested to see how he's going to be coming this upcoming season.
I agree. How do we feel about Jalen Brunson going over to the New York Knicks?
I'm not moved by that move at all. I think that was a bad move by the Knicks, and what like, that was.
Yet again.
I think that was a. It wasn't that kind of a bad of a move, but like the money amount they paid him and stuff, like, bro, he's still not your first or second option. You still have to run an offense through RJ Barrett, who you just extended, and then you still have the guy who you hope that could be an all-star, Julius Randle. You know he's still going to go out there trying to give his prove a year, and he's going to be hitting up 25, 30 shots a night. Between him and RJ, like, and then you have all these young pieces around you, Emmanuel Quickly, you have Grimes, you have all these people, like all these players that you've been talking about. Oh, Cam Reddish, we need to give him the ball more. So then you go out and get Brunson instead of getting other pieces to build around those guys. So now it's going to be like, oh, I expect Jalen Brunson to be at an all-star level. He's not going to play at an all-star level the whole season. He might have a first half of the season where he averaged 18, and then the second half he averaged over 23 or something like that. But he can be that fourth, third option that you need him. But the Knicks are going to need Julius Randle to just play like how he was supposed to play when he was drafted.
And before I kick it over to you, Jalen, the Knicks offered Obi Toppin, RJ Barrett, and was it Quickly as well? And I think it might have been the whole core for Donovan Mitchell, and the Jazz turned it down. Now they ended up getting I can't even remember who they ended up getting from the Cavs, but the Cavs was able to retain their entire core.
They got Saxton, 2 first rounders, and they gave him Larry Marketing.
Now, what are the Utah Jazz thinking? Like, why would they take that package as opposed to the Knicks package?
Well, they got THT. That's the future of that team right there.
Let's hope so. Let's hope the G League product can make it. Man. Well, Jalen, you got anything to add on the Knicks?
Yeah, let's just be honest. Jalen Brunson is never going to be an all-star. But hey, I mean, 100 million is 100 million. You know, I'll take that in a heartbeat. So, I mean, you know, I'm not really understanding why Cam Reddish is still on their team if they're not going to play him. And, you know, the Knicks as a whole is just mediocre. I mean, I'm not sold on anybody. You know, saying Julius Randle has to play at an all-star level. I mean, yeah, I just got to see it again. You know, as far as it was looking to me, that year they made the playoffs, it's pretty fluky. So,
man, I'm a fan of Mitchell Robinson too. I am a
fan of him. I'll say that.
During the
he's a really good player. He's an underrated player.
Yeah,
underrated player.
If he stays healthy too. But when the Timberwolves were looking for a center, I was like, man, if we can get a Mitchell Robinson, or, you know, just some type of lob threat and rim protector, that's all we need. And then we ended up getting Rudy Gobert. And I'm like, damn, well, that's a little bit over the top, but hey, maybe we'll be able to make it work. So let's move on to our way too early predictions for this season. Actually, before we get onto that, let's wrap the show up with that. Before that, let's talk about our top 2 contenders from each conference. So basically, who do we think is going to make the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference Finals? Jalen, I'll kick it to you first, man.
So I'll start off in the West. You know, I can definitely see the Warriors going back and repeating. But after that, you know, honestly, for me, it's kind of up in the air. Honestly, the Suns could come back, but you know, honestly, there's just a lot of controversy around them. But I believe in Denver. You know, I believe in Denver. I think they can come back stronger. Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr. I think they can come back stronger, you know, all around in Denver. So I go with Warriors, Denver, Western Conference. Eastern Conference, I have the Bucks and Celtics, but I'm gonna throw in another team that I think can shock a lot of people, and that's the Chicago Bulls.
Tell us why.
shit, the Chicago Bulls, man. I want to see them succeed, but they just got to stay healthy. I like that I like their pickups, Goran Dragic. I really like what they've done in the offseason. But for me, they got to stay healthy.
Yeah. And as we talked about before the show, Zion, Lonzo Ball is getting another knee surgery. He's been dealing with some pain that has been on and off, and hasn't really been able to get a good control of it. And he's been dealing with that knee injury since the regular season. And here we are, 1 month away from tip-off in the 2022-23 season, and he's still dealing with these problems. And, as always, pray for a healthy recovery. But I feel like he is a very essential piece to them getting as far as they can. Cam, how do you feel about Jalen's picks here?
I like the Warriors and Denver picks. The Bulls pick, I don't know if they can sustain anything without Lonzo.
Yeah.
I think without Lonzo, I think they're just barely fighting at a play-in. The Celtics.
Are we counting out Kobe White?
I'm not sold on Kobe White, man. I'm not sold on Kobe White. Right? Kobe White does not. Yeah, can't even.
He was looking nice in the Rico Hines runs too.
DeMar do his. Vucevic's hopefully he has a bounce back year and can go back to somewhat the days he had the Magic. But I think my picks definitely would have to be. I definitely in the Eastern Conference, I have to go Milwaukee and Boston. I just think Giannis this year is going to take it personal that we were there and everyone wants to talk about this team and this team and that team, but I'm still the best player in the league right now, and I'm still having one of the best defenses in the league, and I think Milwaukee was just too hurt around. We realized last year how much Middleton meant to that team and how much he meant for Giannis and scoring. They had nobody to go to in the third quarter. They had nobody to go to in the fourth quarter. When they shut down Giannis, it was Drew couldn't do it. He couldn't be that
Middleton injury was tough.
Couldn't be that second scoring option for Giannis. And now we know, he just has to be the defender and the setup guy. And then on the Celtics, like Jalen said earlier, the Celtics only got better. And Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, if they can take another step, then the Celtics would be up there. It depends on those two because those are two leaders. And then in the West, I'm gonna go Nuggets and Clippers. I have Golden State at 3, but I just think back with Jamal Murray now, and you got Caldwell Pope in there. That's a good rotation piece. And then you got Jokic, you got Michael Porter Jr. coming back, and I think this will be the breakout year. He's finally healthy. He's had a full off season to develop the game, get everything ready. I think this will be the year that he breaks out skyrocketing, because stats show that since he's been in the league, he's been the most efficient shooter. The stats have him up there. He's been the most efficient shooter.
Just to let you know, I'm not holding in my laugh at your take. I'm holding in my laugh at that video of him getting his car towed, and he's like, "Come on, brothers, got to help brothers out." And then the dude's like, "I'm Puerto Rican." It's so good. That was so good. Oh my God, Michael Porter Jr. Man, he is a fool. And to think that he can just be like, "I'm Michael Porter Jr." To get his car down, that ain't happening, bro. You got to pay the drop fee, which is $250, just like everybody else, man. But love those picks. You already know where I'm going, man. You already know where I'm going, man. So before I even say anything, I know we've only won 3 collective games in the playoffs over 2 seasons. Now, but we have a roster that has acquired guys that want to go to contending teams. And we have completely revamped our roster. And I say we, ours, because, man, I'm born and raised in Minnesota. I don't care. It's not them. It's not that. It's us. It's me. Man, I've been with them my entire life, and it's going to be us till the day I die. So Timberwolves definitely are going to make the Western Conference Finals. And then, it's a toss-up for me at that point. The Warriors, obviously, one of the best rosters last season, but they lost one Toscano Anderson, which is not that big of a deal. But they also lost Gary Payton, who was a defensive energy presence for them. And then Draymond Green, man, he just looked like a shell of himself last year. So I feel like, they're going to have to make a midseason trade to stay at that level. So with the return of my dog, Jamal Murray, I'm going to go with Denver as well. And then on the Eastern Conference side, like I said, I don't really have that much faith in the Celtics. I feel like Jason Tatum is one of the highest level scorers that I've seen, and people, his release point is ridiculous. The way he's able to fade off of shots is ridiculous. And, there's just no doubting his scoring ability. And he actually showed up fantastically on the defensive end using that length to be able to disrupt people. But I just don't have the faith in him. But I've been picking this team to make it out of the East for like the past 3-4 years, and I'm going to ride with them again. The 76ers. I'm taking the 76ers to go up against the Milwaukee Bucks yet again. So we all agree on Denver, right? That's pretty cool. I think they're going to be really tough. We know Jokic gets better every year, and he just even when you think that he's reached his limit, he adds something else. And now he's added defense to his bag. He's able to disrupt plays. He's, probably watching more film than he's ever watched. I think he's going to be, contending for another MVP, even if the media doesn't want him to. And then the Bucks, obviously, Giannis is one of the best players that comes off of losses that I've ever seen. Like, bro always comes in with the energy and the leadership that you need to get your team past those difficult times in the playoffs. And I really love everything that they've been doing. And Chris Middleton, I feel like he's going to take that leap too, to be able to get back to all-star status and be that Robin to Giannis' Superman. Y'all got any pushback on me?
The Sixers point was a good point, but they just need Embiid to just take that step in the playoffs, like take it up another level.
Well, they relied on him throughout the entire regular season, and you saw how tired he was. He looked like Jimmy Butler in the bubble finals,
right?
Like every game, and that was just in the second round of the playoffs. Like that was tough. And now with James Harden, look like he's been in the gym a lot. We've seen it.
He looks like Houston Harden. I mean, he looks like it. I hope he can get back to that form. If he can get,
hopefully he plays like it.
If he can get to literally like 20% of Houston, like that team is destined for a deep playoff run. Like if he can at least be an all-star talent. If he can go on a month stretch where he's averaging 30 points per game, shooting over 45% from three, like that's going to help him kind of take some load off, kind of take some games out, sit some games out, and have Maxey more developed, like because they need Tyrese Maxey.
Yes.
They need him to take another step. Like last year was your coming out party. Like you've seen what you can do in the playoffs, but now like take the next step. And if they had those three guys, I think the whole team around them, they'll play better. As long as your main course plays better, the team around you will play better.
Did you mention PJ Tucker?
I didn't mention PJ Tucker. That's a good signing because PJ Tucker's a good defensive. Good.
Yep.
We know his spot up in the corner. Like we know his shot in the corner. You can't defend that.
No.
So
it's like obviously he's not as good of a shooter as this person I'm about to mention, but his corner three is very Ray Allen-esque. It's very flat. It goes through the net just like at this, sharp, flat angle. Like I love it. It's so good.
It's out there. Barely misses or is in.
Right. That's what I'm saying. And it might even, be a good thing for offensive rebounds, but that's just, that's me thinking way too deeply into it. Yeah. So, do we want to throw out any way too early predictions before the show ends, guys?
I'm gonna say,
Oh yeah. So
go ahead first, Jalen.
okay. So way too early predictions. For MVP, I think Luka finally gets one. And
Luka
Giannis,
Doncic.
yeah, Giannis, Jokic, they'll be contenders as well. But I think Luka finally gets one.
That he stole my pick right there. I was going. This is the year that Luka Doncic becomes the best player in the NBA. Like, this is the year. Like,
Yes.
he has Dallas as a top 3 seed. He's averaging over 30 points per game. Like, I think that team can, like, if they get to the playoffs, no matter who you playing, it's all about matchups. It's no more about who has the best roster. It's all about matchups. And nobody, any team can stop Luka from scoring 30 points in a playoff game.
Man,
absolutely.
I wanted to bring this up as a topic earlier. 3 almost star level players, one for sure, that are coming back this upcoming season. We got Kawhi, we got Zion, and we got Jamal Murray. Now, of those 3, I feel like Jamal Murray is going to be the most impactful to his team in coming back. And, he's the missing piece to that motor that helps them run so efficiently. And the reason why I say Kawhi is a question mark is because of just how reliable he's going to be. Are they going to play him on back-to-back starting off the season? And obviously the rank or the standings aren't determined in the first 2 months, but the Clippers are going to have some time to gel. And like I said earlier, I'm interested to see how long that's going to take. So I got Jamal Murray as my bounce back player of the year. And I hope to see Zion too, but most excited about Jamal Murray.
Yep.
I think that wraps it up today, guys. So really appreciate you guys stepping in with me, taking on this show as we get back to the regular season. I'd love to have you guys back next week. Let me know once we get off. But I really appreciate you guys joining us. Thank you for everybody watching from home on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. I'm your host, Randall Gim. I was joined by Jalen Willingham and Cameron Bryce. You guys need to plug some of your stuff because you guys are some fantastic minds. Cam, what do you got putting out, and what kind of content are you putting out these days?
Putting out mostly a lot of NFL content these days. Putting out a lot of it's week 3 to NFL now, so I'll be doing a lot that may have some baseball coming out, some postseason. But right now, you can follow me on Kazi TV. I post everything on YouTube and Instagram, and then also my Twitter is right on my channel.
Dang, man, I don't really care, but for me, at the moment, I am doing articles for the Cincinnati Bengals weekly. You can follow me on Twitter at Trill Sports, and you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, Trill Sports, where I'm making NFL and NBA videos on pretty much just anything. But for weekly, like I said before, I'm currently writing for the Cincinnati Bengals. We're doing previews, predictions, and deep dives to the players, teams, things of that nature.
Are they going to bounce back next week?
Man, it's looking, it's looking tough, man. No, I can't even answer the question right now. I'm looking at, just looking at the stats, looking at the player matchups. The Bengals fan in me thinks we're gonna finally rebound and get on track, but being a real football fan, it's looking like 0-3.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, but I feel like they'll be able to contend for a spot, at least a wild card spot for sure. Thanks again, guys. I know that was kind of a long-winded, exit, but I really appreciate you guys joining us. Thank you for tuning in. Always check our stuff out on Nuts and Bolts Sports SP on Twitter. We got nutsandboltsports.com content coming out almost every day, weekly for sure, and we are covering any and everything in the NFL. And we're going to get back to this NBA content. So please tune in, tap in, associate, all that good stuff. I'm your host, Randall Gim, and we will see you next week, Wednesday, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time.